Welcome once again. We would like to begin by acknowledging that we are on the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe people. Let us take a moment to honor those who inhabited these lands since time immemorial, enjoying distinctive cultures and systems of governance, and taking good care of the land, air, and water. Thank you very much for making the time to attend this information session on short notice and at the very end of your work week. That is remarkable. Thank you so much. My name is Lucila Spiegelblatt. I work for the Catholic Center for Immigrants, and I am the facilitator for this session. Today, with your permission and everyone's collaboration, we will hear about some of the most urgent needs for recently arrived Afghan newcomers in Ottawa, listen to an overview of private sponsorship, and learn more about some of the volunteer opportunities that you can support at the Catholic Center for Immigrants. Now, we'll have staff make that part of the presentation. As the audience, we really need you to help us. There are over 300 persons registered for this session, and you probably will have some specific questions that will not be answered within this brief information session. Moreover, you might think of issues of interest to potential volunteers that we have not considered. Please write any questions, issues, thoughts, suggestions in the question and answer box that is at the bottom of your screen. We commit to you that we will take the time to review, answer, and send back a list of all the questions and their answers to all the people who registered for this session. There is very little room for conversation when you have 300 people in the room. We promise you there will be ample opportunity to do that later on. And now, let's just go directly to our first speaker. Corinne, the floor is yours.
Merci beaucoup, Lucila. Thank you very much. My name is Corinne Prince, and I'm the Director General of Afghanistan Engagement at the Federal Department of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada. Thrilled to be with you this afternoon. Carl and the CCI team have asked me to set a little bit of context for you. The Government of Canada committed to bring in 20,000 Afghan refugees over a 2-year period. During the recent federal election, they have doubled that commitment as part of the Liberal platform to 40,000 Afghan refugees. Where are we today? Well, so far we have airlifted and evacuated approximately 3,700 refugees. Of those, about 2,700 are in Canada. And we need to put these refugees into a 14-day quarantine as per the COVID rules. So there's approximately 700 still in hotels around Pearson Airport going through their 14-day quarantine, and approximately 2,000 others have been already onward destined to their final destination. So that includes Ottawa and 33 other destinations across Canada. This is a huge undertaking, and that's why you've been invited to this session this evening to see what role you can play in helping to settle and integrate these Afghan refugees and their families. Each of them needs our compassion, our respect, and a concerted effort to begin to rebuild their lives in Canada. I would just say that resettlement is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And it takes a whole of society approach to ensure that we do it well. So far, many organizations and companies have come to support Afghan families. We have over 5,000 offers of temporary accommodations from Airbnb. We have thousands of volunteers such as yourself in communities across the country, and about $1 million has been donated to date. What we've learned from the past, from the Syrian cohort and other refugee movements, is that everyone has a role to play. And so I just want to end by thanking those of you that have already volunteered and welcoming those of you who are brand new to this, this kind of work. Whatever experience you have will be so important
Thank you very much.
to these Afghan refugees and their families. Merci, merci.
And now may I introduce our Executive Director, Carl Nicholson. Carl, we have lost our boss.
No, you haven't. No, I was muted. Sorry about that. I want to thank you very much, Corinne, for that opening statement. Thank you, Lucilla. But I particularly want to thank all 140 people or so who are on this call. It's incredible. You know, the community outpouring that we have had just makes us feel so proud of our community and makes us feel that people actually want to help us. So this is very good. We're over the moon. We've had about 800 people who have said that they want to help us. We've seen an uptick in donations, and you know, we know this is our time to shine. I'm going to tell you just a little bit about us as an agency, who we are. We're the Catholic Center for Immigrants. Our mission, we have two pieces to our mission, is to welcome newcomers and to help to build a more welcoming community. We've been around since 1954. So that means that we have gone through many surges of refugees and immigrants. You know, we dealt with the boat people, the Kosovars, the Syrians. So we have a fair amount of experience doing this. I want to let you know we serve everyone who comes and asks us for help. We have about 120 staff on any given day. We have a budget, most of which comes from government, but important parts of it come from donations from the public like yourself. We serve about 7,000 people per year. We probably collectively speak about 50 languages. We have many programs. Like I said, you know, our programs fall into sort of two big buckets. Bucket number one is to welcome the newcomer, to help them get settled, get a place to live, get their feet on the ground, find a job, you know, get all the various official documents and so on. That's kind of what we do. We sit down with each person. We say, what is it that what are your goals? What do you want to be? And we make a plan with them, and then we help them to accomplish those goals. The other side of the table, we know that people do better if they have friends. We know they do a lot better if they have a network. So the other side of the table, we have lots of programs, what we call community connections, help people become connected to people who are already here. And we do all of this. A big primary tool for us is working in partnership. So we work in partnership with many organizations across our city. We like to think of in sort of big picture terms, as I said on CBC this morning, we like to think of our work as housing, jobs, and friends. You'll hear those phrases over and over again. Right now, we have this significant opportunity that faces us with all these Afghan refugees who are coming into our community, and our government's commitment to save what we think are a few of the 76 million people somewhere around the world who are running from something. But we are very privileged to have this opportunity to actually work on this file. To date, we've received about 170 Afghan refugees. I mean, the number kind of goes up and down. As you can imagine, this is a pretty complex operation. I mean, the refugees, when they arrive, haven't really yet been processed in terms of immigration terms. They arrive in Toronto, and that's where most of the processing occurs. Sometimes they haven't had COVID shots and they have to get the COVID shots. And then the next thing that IRCC does is determine where in Canada they should be going to. And that's a complex situation because, you know, many of them are no Canadians, worked with Canadians in Afghanistan. And so they want to be close to those friends. But then IRCC has to check with those friends to be sure that, yes, this is indeed the case. So there's a certain amount of complexity about determining which community they should go to. And of course, IRCC has to take into account, you know, what particular skills this person has. Is it best, are those skills best deployed in Lethbridge or in Ottawa? And then the other thing that needs to be taken into account is housing. We all know that housing is a very difficult situation in our country right now. And, you know, we want to send people where they will, in fact, find a home. Oh my goodness, my timer went off. So as I said, we've received about 170 Afghans. Now, it's interesting, at the same time, we've also received within the last month, and all of this is within the last month, about 100 other refugees. So we're looking after right now about 300 people. We have them located in 5 hotels across our city. And as you can imagine, this means that we've had to hire more people. It's been taking some time to find those hotels. We've had to reorganize ourselves internally. We've had to orient those new staff. It's been a very challenging but exhilarating and exciting job. As I said, we think that this is our time to shine. I just want to leave you a couple of things. I saw something in the chat box, somebody asking about donations, furniture, and clothes. We're in partnership very much with an organization called Helping with Furniture. You'll find them online. We don't have the capacity to receive furniture, clean it up, and do all of the things, store it, and so on. So please send your donations of furniture to Helping with Furniture. In terms of clothes, please send your donations of clothes to St. Vincent de Paul or the Salvation Army. Once again, we have a partnership arrangement with those organizations. The big thing I want to ask you for at this time is your patience. We're going about what we need to do with these people to introduce them to our new country in the middle of COVID, which exacerbates everything. Everything is slowed down. You know, you try to get an OHIP card and it takes much longer. So we're just asking you to be patient with us. We welcome the opportunities that you are offering us to volunteer, and we will find ways to use you, but we do need your patience right now. Another thing I want to say is that, you know, we all now communicate with.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, folks. You're wonderful. I'm going to leave it to my next staff member.
Chamroeun, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Lucilla, and good afternoon, everyone. Well, you know what, I just want to give you a quick review of the service we are providing to all the Afghanis that stay temporarily at the hotel. Okay, from the days of arrival, we have to arrange airport pickup and ground transportation to the hotel, meet and greet at the hotel, and as well quick overview of the hotel location and specifically meals distribution of meals allowance. And the next day, again, showing around about the hotel surrounding for shopping center, restaurant, because those people need to go to those places to buy food and daily needed basis. And need assessment intake will do it immediately right after, like taking in action like PPE, make sure that all the guys have enough PPE, personal hygiene, diaper, formula, and health issue. It happened to be they do have some issue. Also, the another headache for us to deal with documentation. They have to make sure, verify that all guys do have all immigration paper in order. Otherwise, we cannot do anything about that at all because everything based on the CPR, we call the confirmation of permanent resident. And then if they are missing those documents, for sure, we'll get in touch with IRCC for those missing documents. And then, as you know, also application had to be filled out online for SIN, OHIP, CCB, all those sort of things that need to be done. SIN application is not too bad because we get in touch with the Service Canada that will provide SIN application on site. That really a relief. The issue we are having now is OHIP application. The OHIP had to be in person at the location, only one location in downtown, we call the Service Ontario, that will accept application of the new arrival gas. And then due to the COVID, we cannot bring a lot of people. We have to book an appointment. And imagine move 100 people to that place and then have a picture taken will be a headache for a nightmare. And then again, the COVID-19 protocol that we have to follow. So that's another headache for us to do in order to get the OHIP for all the government assisted refugees. And also during their stay at the hotel, we provide a basic general orientation, especially on IRCC income support. We explain to them, we have to explain to them how much money they will receive, what is it for, housing, what is it, furniture, household, the whole 9 yards of income support. The other document, official document that they have to go through, we call IRCC agreement, which is the kind of official document, all the newcomers or gas have to sign document and abide by the rule, because it explains it to do, it's kind of requesting what is your responsibility, what is your right while you're under RAP program, what you can do, what you cannot do. As well, housing, that's another challenge for us. As Carl mentioned, housing is priority, top priority. Without housing, we cannot start the newcomer can start the new life in Canada at all. And on the housing market, as you know, the housing market situation in Ottawa now, it's kind of difficult. It's not affordable at all. And during in the orientation workshop, we explained to them about the rent costs in Ottawa with a different type of apartment, like building, townhouse, and what is your right, what is your responsibility as a tenant versus the landlord right and responsibility. Also about the lease, is rent included, utility or not. The other topic that we deal with is health and safety, especially during the COVID. We had to explain to them about social distancing, mask, transmission, hand sanitizer. As about OHIP, what is covered under OHIP, what is not covered under OHIP, and what is covered, and as well IFH. I believe everybody know that only we call interim federal healthcare program.
Chamroeun, I am very sorry to interrupt you, but you are freezing. We cannot understand what you say. I am going to put Roya on and we'll let you come back in a moment after. Sorry, Chamroeun, you're frozen. Roya, the floor is yours. Wow.
Good afternoon. We have to show them service in the community, shopping center, school, ESL, link, public transportation. Another one I want is a bit of this.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for attending today's event. I am going to very briefly speak about the private sponsorship of refugee. As the name itself is very self-explanatory, that's basically a program under the Immigration Canada where it helps community members to sponsor refugees to come to Canada. The private sponsorship of refugees basically consists of three different three different categories: Group 5, community sponsorship, and sponsorship agreement holder. Most important points that I'd like to discuss in today's presentation, short presentation, is mainly the eligibility, because there is a lot of requests on information for that, but mainly when people calling our office and our services, they are speaking about the family members that are left inside, that are still in Afghanistan or in their country of origin. So as the name itself basically mentions, the sponsorship is designed for refugees. So everyone, in order to be eligible for that, they need to be outside the border of their own country. So to go specifically on refugees' eligibility for the program, a refugee is eligible for this program if they are outside their own country to a secondary country of asylum, and they have been recognized by UNHCR or the country of asylum to be a refugee. In many cases, it's UNHCR who will issue them an RSD or refugee status determination. In some cases, it's the country of origin that will be issuing that document for them. That basically makes a refugee eligible for the program. The only exception that is there is under sponsoring a refugee under the Sponsorship Agreement Holder Program or the SAP program, where the refugee needs to be outside the border of their country. However, the requirement for RSD is not a must. Now I would like to also discuss a little bit of who can be eligible or a sponsor for the program. Anyone who is a Canadian citizen or permanent resident who is over age of 18 and does not have a default of sponsorship or any other kind of financial default in the past. 5 of these kind of members could basically gather in one community, make their group, and they should also have financial and settlement capacity to support the refugee after their arrival. The commitment in this program is only 1 year or 12 months from the day of entry until the 12th month. So these were like the most important thing about the program to know. I know this is very short. However, I was asked to speak shortly about them. We have been doing this, we have used that program in the past a lot for the Syrian refugees, and we are receiving many requests from Afghan communities in Ottawa to receive help in terms of these type of sponsorships. We are ready to provide them with the information. Thank you.
Bryn, the floor is yours.
Thanks very much, Lucilla. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, everyone, for joining us today. My name is Bryn. I'm the Volunteer Engagement Facilitator at CCI. So to start off, I just wanted to quickly say a big thank you to everyone who's reached out with offers to support, especially over the past month or so. It's been incredibly positive, very uplifting experience to see so many members of the community extending their helping hand and asking how they might be able to support during these times of need. So thank you, everyone who's joined us today for coming forward and reaching out to see how you can support. Today, I'm going to speak briefly on just some of the processes that we have in place for volunteers that might be looking to get involved supporting different initiatives, the Afghan resettlement at CCI. So firstly, I just want to acknowledge that there are some people here today listening, I'm sure, that have completed some of these processes already. You're very eager to get involved, and thank you for that. And there's others here listening today that are maybe just learning about things for the very first time. So I want to provide a bit of an overview for everyone on the steps that we go through for welcoming new volunteers to our team at CCI. First and foremost, step number 1, anybody interested in volunteering needs to submit an online volunteer application form with CCI. This is available directly through our CCI website under the tab, How You Can Help, at the top of the screen. It can be completed online and submitted completely online. The application form is always the first and the best step to getting the process started. And it's a great introduction to you and what you might be interested in doing to support CCI. Ultimately, it helps us work through any steps that we need to get you involved in a meaningful volunteer role. Once the application form has been submitted, we will then begin some of our kind of screening and onboarding process. This can include things like an initial contact or a bit of an interview process. We will do reference checks. It is done electronically, just to kind of streamline the process. And most notably, the kind of screening piece that I wanted to mention is that we do request the volunteer candidates provide a level 3 police vulnerable sector check. This is especially important if volunteers are doing or planning on doing any work directly with clients. So working directly with clients might include supporting newcomer families. Perhaps there's young children involved as part of those families, as an example. So therefore, we will get our volunteers to work through the process of getting that level 3 vulnerable sector check with us once the application has already been submitted. So once these kind of initial screening processes are completed, or for those of you that have already completed these steps and are listening in, we'll be in touch very soon about the next steps. Ultimately, we'll be getting you connected with some of our team at CCI to get you prepared and trained for a more specific role at CCI. And there's a bit more info coming on that with our next speaker. I hope this gives a bit of a snapshot of the process that we have in place for getting our new volunteers involved. And I just wanted to highlight again and kind of emphasize Carl's point that your patience and your cooperation with these processes and your commitment to supporting the newcomer community here in Ottawa is so appreciated. Again, it's been such an amazing experience to be involved with over this past month or so. There are certainly volunteer opportunities available now, and I will emphasize that there will certainly be many, many, many more coming in the future. So our goal is just to work together as a team to ensure we are prepared as best as possible for the days, weeks, and months ahead of us. Thank you again for everyone that joined today. I look forward to getting as many of you involved as possible. I'm expecting to see some new applications being submitted in the coming days, I'm sure, and I'm excited to connect with everyone. So I'll pass the mic over to my colleague, Anneke, who's going to speak a bit about some specific volunteer opportunities that you might be able to support in a bit more detail. So thank you very much, everyone, for listening and for joining us this afternoon.
Perfect. Anneke, just give me a second. We see a few raised hands from the participants. Please remember to just type your questions, comments, or thoughts in the question box, because we will not be able to give you the floor to speak. So please just do that. And the other is our colleague Chamroeun froze. He has rejoined the session. And after Anneke finishes her most interesting section, we will get him back for a couple of minutes. Thank you very much. Now, let me bring you back to Anneke's slide. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anneke, and I'm part of the Community and Employment Connections team at CCI, and I would like to talk to you about a few different volunteer opportunities that we have, and we hope that one of them will capture your interest. The matching program is an opportunity for a volunteer or a volunteer family or small group of friends to get together to be matched with an Afghan family or an Afghan individual. And there would be weekly meetings to help the Afghan family in their integration. And this is done by the volunteer or volunteers providing support with their knowledge of Ottawa, with their knowledge of life in Canada, and hopefully replacing in some small way some of the community that the refugees have lost. The mentorship program involves a local mentor being matched with an Afghan mentee to provide specific support around employment or education. So if you're someone who feel you have a lot of strengths when it comes to job search, or you are very familiar with our kind of post-secondary education institutions, then this might be a good fit for you. There would be weekly meetings between the mentor and the mentee, as well as some extra workshops that would be hosted by CCI on topics of interest pertaining to employment and education. Then we have social circles. And the social circles are intended for the Afghans who have arrived with a good level of English. Some of them are already fluent. They've been working with Canadians, but there's still some things that will be new to them that it would be wonderful for a volunteer to be able to help with. So we're talking about a weekly meeting led by a volunteer, and you would be talking about the weather. You'd be talking about current events. You'd be talking about, Canadian traditions, Canadian expressions and idioms, and helping the person to feel more at home and more connected. The conversation circles, on the other hand, are intended for people who are wanting to practice their English. So perhaps beginner English, perhaps intermediate English, and the volunteer leads a conversation circle on a weekly basis, helping people to improve their comprehension and their fluency in English. And if there is an interest for French conversation circles, then we can start that too, with your help. We're also inviting the Afghans to participate in existing CEC programs, such as the children's programs, the youth program, the employment support that we offer. We are already running conversation circles, French conversation circles, employment conversation circle, and there are benefits to being in meeting with newcomers from all backgrounds. And if you are interested in, in volunteering with a newcomer from a different country, there are other government-assisted refugees who are in need of support of volunteers, so that would be also an opportunity for you to get involved. Because we're not only welcoming, as it was said, we're not only welcoming Afghans, but we're also welcoming other newcomers, other refugees who have been here who have been waiting to come here for a long time. And so for those of you who have already filled out those applications and been in touch with Bryn, and you have your police record check, or you think it's going to be coming shortly, we will be in touch with you soon with more information about these programs and figuring out which one is the best fit for you, getting you involved. We're looking forward to that very much. We're really hoping that all this interest in the community will really translate to the newcomers from Afghanistan feeling welcomed, feeling safe, feeling at home here in Ottawa with your help. Thank you very much. Back to you, Lucilla.
Thank you very much. So now, two interesting things happening. I love Zoom meetings. It always throws you a curve. Number one, our colleague Chamroeun froze in the middle of telling us about some of the most urgent needs in housing, and we would like to give him the floor for a couple more minutes. Everybody has been excellent at keeping on time. And Corinne, there is one specific question that she would like to answer after that, and since we probably will not get her typing replies to answers, we'll give her the floor right after Chamroeun. So Chamroeun, would you like to finish your thing in a couple of minutes?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And sorry, everyone, that, sometimes technology, the internet connection. All right. Okay. So I just want to finish my little report. I just want to let you know that we are having on-site 3 staff that are doing the services described about before, and then as well Q&A for the client every day. That's the question they do almost every day. When you are new to the country, you always come up with a question, and sometimes just calm them down, talk to them, make them feel happy. That's a part of the settlement process as well. I just want to share also about the challenge we are having, because you see here, finding a rental apartment and getting the new landlord on board, that's a big challenge. As you know that Ottawa, we are lack of affordable housing. And as well, some landlord may not rent to the newcomer without having credit history, no job, fall under under the government support get under government income support, and as well to the new country. This one we have to overcome this obstacle by advocate for our client, and also working under COVID-19. As we all know that a lot of restriction, we have to follow the protocol for the safety of the client, and as well for the safety of the rest of our client, of my staff. And sometimes the parking lot in the hotel, it become our office. It chit chat with the client again, that Q&A. So in order to wrap up the donation that we need now for the people staying at the hotel is diaper for children, female sanitary pad, and over-the-counter medicine. This one, that's what they are needing the most while they are at the now. And thank you, Lucilla, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Corinne. We are lucky that you could stay through. There was a question you wanted to respond to.
Thank you, Lucilla. Yeah, I think the question was, will the Government of Canada be looking to evacuate other refugees in Afghanistan? And the answer to that is we do not yet know. As I said earlier, we currently have a direction around the first 20,000 refugees. Those are basically divided into two groups. The first 5,000 were individuals who had worked with the military, the Canadian government, the embassy in Afghanistan, and had a long and enduring relationship with the Government of Canada as interpreters, as drivers, and many other supports. Those individuals, 5,000, were evacuated out of, well, are not all yet out of Afghanistan, but those were the first group. The second group was approximately 15,000 refugees under a special humanitarian measures. And those are for individuals outside of Afghanistan, so who have made their way into neighboring countries. And there are specific categories for this special humanitarian measure, including female leaders, human rights defenders, members of the LGBTQ community, those that are being suffering from religious persecution, and family members of Afghan interpreters. So there are specific categories that have been spelled out under the special humanitarian measures, which makes up approximately 15,000 refugees. For the remaining 20,000, so as I said, the commitment was doubled from 20,000 to 40,000. We are waiting for a cabinet to be struck and to have either our existing minister, Minister Mendocino, if he is confirmed as the immigration minister, or a new minister to make these decisions on what the additional 20,000 refugees, how we are to categorize them. Are they to come from within the country, i.e. within Afghanistan? Are they to come from outside Afghanistan? What is the government's direction on that? Will they, and what will be the mix?
Oh.
That's a long reply, but the short answer is we do not yet know if there will be further details for those in Afghanistan. Thanks, Lucilla.
Thank you very, very much, Corinne. So we know people are getting hungry. Things need to happen. We have about 25 questions on the list. I promise you we'll get the answers back to you before the end of the week because many of them are related. And what can you expect afterwards? This is just a very general information session. As you can see, the situation is evolving all the time. Expect from us invitations to much smaller meetings to explore in detail the commitment and process to support specific needs in a very concrete manner without creating an unmanageable situation for the volunteers and the staff or unsafe conditions for the clients. We are already onboarding, taking in some of the first groups of volunteers. Expect to be called, stay in touch. And when we send you the answers to all of these questions, at the same time, our colleague, Don Ehrman, and you see his email on the screen right now, donald@cciottawa.ca. He's our communications coordinator, and he is the pivot. Any requests, questions, offers, send them to donald@cciottawa.ca, and he will make sure that they reach the right person at our organization. As Carl said, please remember, housing, friends, and jobs. I don't think the priorities for our new neighbors are that much different than the essential needs that we all have. And we hope that with your help, they'll be able to settle in Ottawa and become part of this community. Thank you very much, everybody, and have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye.